if we don't fight this vice of corruption seriously and with honest opinion without any bias, things will not be good for us.
UBC Radio Ground Zero, right here on UBC Radio.
UBC, ensure that the information you give out is factual but also objective, balanced, and complies with the legal and policy requirements for the media.
Ground Zero program is always live, loud and clear, every Saturday from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on UBC Radio, Butebo FM, West Nile FM, and Magic 100 FM, and live stream on YouTube. You can also listen to the repeated broadcast of UBC Ground Zero every Sunday from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. UBC Radio, inspiring Uganda.
Welcome to Ground Zero Season 2, a show that brings you in-depth discussion ranging from politics, health, finance, sports, and so much more. Ground Zero Season 2.
Yes, indeed, it is UBC Radio. We are here to inspire you, the people of Uganda, on 5 radio stations that cover this program. I want to thank everyone who is joining us for this important conversation. Today we gather to discuss a very important and significant matter that is often overlooked by increasingly urgent but challenging, very challenging when it comes to the raising of this very matter, and I'm talking about mental health cases in Uganda, and we're going to be looking at how best we can deal with that very challenge in this country we call home, in this country we call Uganda, where mental health is no longer just a silent issue, but across communities, workplaces, schools, even within creative industries, we are witnessing a very serious and growing cases or case of depression, anxiety, trauma, and substance abuse. The stigma also surrounding these challenges often leave us with many suffering in silence without access to help that they need. As a society, we can really no longer afford to ignore this reality, and as a national broadcaster, we always come through to educate, to empower, to encourage our brothers and sisters within our communities to take the right direction, especially want all of us to live a very healthy life. So today, to guide us in this very dialogue and serious topic that we're having on UBC Ground Zero, on this issue of mental health, we are privileged to host distinguished guests who are going to be educating, who are going to be inspiring, who are going to be really helping us to understand what we really need to do to deal with the challenge of increased mental health cases in Uganda. Joining us this time is Okwera Moses Mugisha, is the director of Okwera Foundation. A warm welcome to this edition of UBC Ground Zero.
Yeah, thank you so much, comrade. Yes, my name is Mugisha Okwera Moses, director of Okwera Foundation. I am very blessed to be in the studios of UBC Radio, having these gallant professionals. Yes, I come from Nakawa, and I'm a mental health practitioner. Very happy to be here.
Interesting. Thank you so very much and most welcome. We also have Vincent Chaginze, is the director of Human Rights Arts Festival, joining us also on UBC Ground Zero today.
Thank you so much, Amon, for hosting us. My name is Vincent Chabayinze, and I'm the director of Yaba Artist and Human Rights and Universal Arts Festival. Thank you so much.
Interesting. We also have a lady who is going to have discussion, also talking to young females and also women in this country and representing that gender. Today is Susan Winfred Dikini, is the clinical psychologist, but also coming from Strong Minds Uganda. Warm welcome.
Thank you so much, Amon. I'm excited to be here and definitely representing the best gender. Yeah, okay. And I'm from Strong Minds Uganda, a clinical psychologist, and currently serving as the Quality Assurance Coordinator.
Interesting. Our dear guests, you're most welcome, and also our dear listener, you are most welcome to this important edition. We are live on 5 radio stations that cover this program. That is on UBC Radio in Kampala, 98.0 FM. In case you're in Arua, 107.4 FM. Alira, 99.4 FM. UBC Butebo, we are on 96.9 FM. That is in Mbale. In Soroti, 98.4 FM. We are also live and clear on another radio station, that is UBC Western Nile, that covers Western Nile sub-region, Lango sub-region, Natural sub-region, Karamoja sub-regions. That is a 98.0 FM. And also we're live on Magic 100 FM. That is Magic in Kampala, covers all the central parts of this country. And we are also live on UBC Voice of Butebo, that covers all the western parts of this country. The repeat of this program is always on Sunday, from 3 to 5 p.m. That is on UBC Radio 98.0 FM, and also the same repeat is on Voice of Butebo every Monday, same time. Let's waste no minute, and we dive into our discussion today. And I would love to start with let me start with Okwera, and I come to Vincent, then the best gender comes in later, as we understand how big, small, or serious is mental health in this country. Okwera, you have been in this country, you have been preaching, you have been also going through some of the institutions, you have worked with government institutions, NGOs. How serious is the case? How should we be worried, or how should we be strengthened to know that we are managing this issue? And then Vincent, you'll help us. You are in the film industry, entertainment industry, where so many people are victims of drug abuse, also depressed, and also very perplexed. When it comes to mental issues, people are dying silence. Even the musicians that we do celebrate every day, even the best actresses and actors in this country that we call home, in this continent we call Africa, even we have seen elsewhere musicians who have been victims of drug abuse and are dying every day. And of course, I welcome also to you our best gender, Susan, as a clinical psychologist, to help us understand what, from the cause perspective, how we can deal with this. Let me start with you, Okwela. Vincent and Susanna will follow.
For moderator for inviting us here. Also appreciate the management of UBC Radio for inviting us here to share some insights as regards the health, mental health, and mental illness. Talk about health. Health we mean a complete state of physical, mental, psychological, and well-being of an individual, not mere absence of disease or infirmity. When talk about mental health, we mean the ability to cope with stressors, to be productive to yourself and the public. When we talk about mental illness, is when your ability to cope and all that is altered. The thinking, the behavior, the way you do things is not the normal one. Yes, I've had a chance of working with some mental health related NGOs. I was working with Mental Health Uganda, and at one time my contract was about psychiatric clients in the city of Kampala, especially those who are alcoholics, who are on the streets, who sleep on the streets. I had a 3-year contract, and my work was to talk to them, counsel them, treat those that can be treated along the streets of Kampala city, and then later refer some of them to National Mental Health Hospital. So I did that, and later even we resettled some to the respective homes of abode. So it does mean that if mental health clients are worked on well, they can heal and go about their normal businesses. I also appreciate Strong Minds Uganda in the community from where I come, that is in Akawa. They have been doing some good work. I know them since those years of 2017, 2018. I've been seeing them in the communities of Mbuya, Luzira, Buteega, and the like, until they stretched to Wakiso. So there must be another NGOs that are doing mental health. I also appreciate the hospital for doing some good work. Now, some time back, a New Vision came up with a headline that the 14 million Ugandans are mentally sick, which was a very challenging headline to all of us. Yes, we all know that there is no particular cause of mental illness. It is a combination of many factors that brings about mental ill health. We have alcohol and drug abuse, there can be diseases, there is a primary, secondary, and the tertiary mental health, mental health. So the primary about how it's about the feeding, it's about all those good things of a child when it's being born, it's about immunization, it's about counseling, it's about the care. When it goes to secondary, it's when it has gone beyond what you can do. Then there is a secondary, you begin the treatment. Then there is tertiary when something has gone beyond now, which needs rehabilitation. Yes, one in Kampala and Uganda at large is that we tend not to use the available services. According to the organogram of the structure of government, at Health Center 3, we are supposed to have an enrolled psychiatric nurse. Then Health Center 4, going upwards, we have a psychiatric clinical officer, we have until the referral hospital where we have psychiatrists, and then national referral where we have specialized and super specialized in mental health care. Now, at health centers, we don't tend to care so much about mental health and mental illness. Yet, it's supposed to be the touch base of all those challenges. You find a psychiatric nurse who is there is taken to do other activities. Go and do immunization, go and do antenatal, go and do ABC. Now it means mental health clients, because they don't know whether the services exist, or they will all of them flock with a hospital, which has now made the hospital to be overcrowded. So people to all center worker, either doctors or people at health centers, is to give ample time, to give opportunity for those psychiatric nurses, for those psychiatric clinical officers in those centers to do their work. 2, earmark that this is a mental health clinic. So the person who comes, who knows that this health center, Kisho Health Center, that is in Akawa, there is a marker showing mental health clinic. I don't see it in Kiswa. I come from Nakawa. I've never seen it in Kiswa. At one time, I wrote him to the ED of KCCA. In fact, I wrote her on December 4th, trying to share with them that, you know what, let all let all the Kampala health centers and even government hospitals in Kampala, let them give priority to mental health clients than always assigning mental health workers to do other physical work. Yes, they can, but it's good to do it when there are no psychotic clients. So we need a signpost or a signage to show that this is a mental health clinic for starters, so that clients can come there freely. Otherwise, Butebo is overcrowded, is so much congested, and we don't have space to welcome everyone. So Butebo Hospital is a national mental referral hospital. It's supposed to be handling serious or supposed to be handling like at least major mental illnesses, or what has failed to be handled at the Health Center 3, Health Center 4, district, or even regional referral.
Okay.
But you find that somebody who needs counseling go to the hospital. Who
Thank
needs the
you.
basic thing, go to the hospital. So kind of requesting us to make sure that we utilize the services at the primary places. Thank you.
Interesting. Thank you so very much. And I come to you, Vincent. In your experience, what are the unique pressures within the film and entertainment industry that contribute to substance use?
Thank you so much. When we talk about mental illness, I'm not a professional in that, but because I've worked with communities that suffer, first of all, because of stigma, people think when you talk about mental illness, someone is mad. But the thing is, mental illness is when your brain actually can't think or behave the way you would love to behave. So at a certain point, we all go through these pressures. For example, you can be anxious, you can feel depressed, you can feel weak, so because of those pressures, then they trigger. Now when we look at what really triggers the high cases we're talking about of substance abuse, there is demand for performance from creatives to deliver at a certain level. Now when the pressure culminates into fear of, have I performed well, do I have so many likes, then they look for a place to, I would say, to hide this fear. Then they resort to drugs. But again, also we need to look at what causes, what are their backgrounds, because backgrounds play a role in how we deal with mental health. You could find some people have been abused during their childhood. You could find some people come from really traumatized backgrounds. Now when we come to the music industry or the performing industry, everyone looks at the outcome. They just look at why are they using the drugs, but we don't interrogate what is the trigger for the performers to resort to substance use. Now we are living in an era where social media is all over, so our brains don't rest. Now when your brain can't rest, you're scrolling from 8 a.m. you take a 5 minutes break, you go back, you'll find all these comments insulting your performance you did last night, and now you look to who do I go to consult, to ask for help. Now you start talking to yourself, if I walk into Butega hospital for a counselor, they will say you're mad, because we've stigmatized mental illness so much that you're either weak to ask for service, you're either mad to go to Butega. But that should not be the case. That's why we are having these cases. Now when people, not only musicians, because I think it's just a stereotype, people to say that performing arts or musicians they use drugs a lot. But I think the problem is in our families. We've seen parents using drugs. It is in our workplace because of the anxiety, the demand to perform. We've seen CEOs using drugs. Now the thing is, how do we stop, how do we help the industry we love so much that it doesn't slip into that era of being labeled as an industry that is prone to using drugs? In my experience of doing documentaries to people who use substance and drugs, I've noticed very important things. One, demand to perform to a certain level. As human beings, we we are demanded to perform, that's right, to deliver, even if the outcomes at a job, even if they're you're managing a home, there are expectations. But now, what we need to interrogate, how do we help ourselves if we feel that we are short of the demands of the public? For example, if today I come and I perform and I don't give you the performance you wanted, should I be insulted? Should I be abused? Should people trail me on social media to the extent that the only refuge I have is to go to a needle? I don't think that is the right thing. Two, if it's about the services, how do we help performers to get these services? Because when I'm a star, I can't walk into a clinic and say, I have a mental illness problem, because the thing is, it's all about stigma. The moment you mention it, people say you're mad. If you're a man, you're weak. Like, how do you feel anxious? How can you fail to go to work because you feel like you're weak in a certain way, or your body is weak? So I believe that when we talk to the audiences, for example, when we talked to people who really have slipped into drug abuse, for example, a story of a woman who, because of the pressure I'm talking about, she was overweight. I'll use the word overweight. And then a friend came in and said, no, you failed to give birth. Your husband want to leave you because you're overweight? No. I can give you a remedy. Yeah. So the woman introduced her to a drug, but she even didn't know that the drug she was being introduced to, I think she called it a file, but I think it was cocaine. She didn't know. Now she takes the drug for the first time. She vomits, she does a lot of things. Then they carry her back home. Now when she wakes up, she asks her friend, what happened? Friend is like, no, that's the drug that is going to help you.
Those are the side effects.
Yeah, within yes. And within, the interesting thing within, she says that within a month she had lost weight. Yeah. Now she had this body everyone was admiring. But now she could not get back to her normal self. So she realized that she cannot do the work she used to do. She can't stay in her home. And now the family separated. She ended up in Kisenyi using the drug. But now again, she said she would really love to get off the drug. But the thing you go through, the vomiting, the diarrhea and everything, I rather stay on the drug, than withdraw. Now I think it goes back to us. What are the remedies? Because when we talk about malaria, everyone is like, okay, it's a problem. But when we talk about anxiety, when we talk about depression, people say like, those are not serious cases. But we need to address the issue of mental illness the way we are addressing the issue of malaria, the way we are addressing the issue of HIV. And also we need to look at the triggers. For example, let us look at the COVID pandemic. Many people lost jobs. They decided to close themselves into their homes. Now, when you look at them, what they are going through, you can't comprehend it. The recent USAID cuts, there are people who even lost their lives, So I think that this discussion is important. One, for us who are doing this job, but also to the government to see how best all these things can be brought.
Interesting.
together.
Thank you so very much. I come to you, Susan, best gender, but also a clinical psychologist. You must have dealt with a number of people addicts and also those who are on substance use. I'm wondering, from the angle you come in and also from Strong Minds, which is known for its group therapy model and so very many others, but also as you experience still in Strong Minds, what patterns are you seeing in mental health challenges faced by women, youth, and also others that you have encountered in this country we call Uganda.
All right. Thank you so much. Just like Moses shared, from a recent report, over 14 million Ugandans are affected by at least one mental health problem, and with depression and anxiety being the commonest. And we have a number of triggers or push factors that have actually put our Ugandans at risk of actually having mental health problems. And Vincent has done a wonderful job to make mention of the pressure with social media, some of the issues that came up as a result of COVID-19. We had life changes where people lost their jobs, and yet there is pressure to be able to provide in the homes. So we have a number of these push factors. Many people lost their loved ones, and it is a very big trigger to actually put people at risk of having mental health issues, but especially bringing in depression. It's important that we break the silence and spread awareness across, because we continue to see that there is poor health-seeking behavior among even the people that are actually not well or are mentally ill. And one of the key reasons is some of them do not have awareness into their own issues, or they do not know what they are going through. But also, secondly, the issue of stigma, that when I open up or that when I share, how will I come out? How will it look? How will I be judged? Will I be listened to? So it's important that we continue to spread awareness. What are some of the red flags that someone is actually not mentally well, that someone is depressed, someone is anxious and actually needs support? There are changes in mood, and sometimes if someone is depressed, you find that they are sad, they've lost hope. Oftentimes they've lost motivation to do the things they love to do. It could be work, it could be doing a different hobby, a hobby you enjoy, and you find that people have lacked motivation even to work and be more productive. We find changes in sleep patterns. We have also changes in appetite. And so when you begin to reflect in your own life and begin to look into your life, if you are having these symptoms, then it is a telltale sign that probably you're not fine, and it is time to then seek support. Could there be times when you feel worthless, you feel you are a failure, you feel guilty, you've not been able to support your own family, you've failed, probably you've gone through abuse and you feel that you cannot go on anymore, you feel low and you don't feel any sense of self-worth, it could be a telltale sign. Sometimes when people get so overwhelmed, we begin to see symptoms of suicidal thoughts, and someone saying, I would be better off if I were dead. And they begin to think of, killing themselves. So we need to actually come out and seek for support and break the silence and know that actually you're not alone. So many people are going through this similar situation. There is hope for you, and it's actually okay for you not to be okay. What you're going through is an illness, and actually we need to recognize that. So we need to spread awareness for people to become emotionally aware and get to know what are they actually going through? How can I be able to seek support? What are the available resources? And also from the recent census, it was reported that there are over 46 million people currently in Uganda, and we only have just about 50 psychiatrists to actually handle this population of people. So we really find that there are few mental health specialists to actually come in and handle the Ugandans, and which has made access to care very complicated. And so there is need for us to actually leverage on what are the community structures that are available currently to actually come in and support. At Strong Minds Uganda, we've been able to work with the community structures, the VHTs, at the health center ones whom we have equipped, and they are able to provide first-line care for people who are having depression and anxiety at the community level. In the schools, how are we being able to equip the teachers to identify some of these children and adolescents within the schools? Because we know that a substantial proportion of mental health issues in the adulthood really have their onset in childhood and adolescence. So it is imperative that we care and also are able to detect some of these mental health problems early enough before they actually exacerbate and go into different issues, different disorders like bipolar disorder, like psychosis, schizophrenia, where someone has totally lost touch with reality and has to be admitted and be given antipsychotics. So it is imperative that as we support, as we reach out to the population, can we be able to leverage on the community structures, train the community health workers, work with them, capacitate them to be able to handle this situation. We are in the suicide awareness month, and we need to spread awareness. We need to break the silence. You might be out there and you feel it's the end of life. We're here to tell you that there is still hope. There is still hope. Many times we are pushed or we go through certain situations. Vincent made mention of many of those situations that we actually go through. And we know that currently we are in a school fees phase where many of us are supposed to take our children. Yes, just in case. Just in case. It could be me, it could be Moses, it could be Vincent. And we are in a school fees phase, and you might be out there and looking for resources is hard. Maybe you lost your job. Maybe you lost your business. Maybe things are not working well. It could be a situation of separation. It could be a situation when you're going through divorce and any other life change. Certain times, even the positive things come in with challenges. Certain times you might get married and you might expect the best, but at the end of the day, you might get challenges through the marriages. So we have disagreements happening, and sometimes you do not know how to deal with these conflicts and disagreements when they come in. Many times your coping banks are overwhelmed and you feel you need to be supported. Please reach out, open up, and we shall be able to support you. Strong Minds, we are available to support you if you're going through this situation. So how can I actually tell that I'm having suicidal issues? Or how do you tell that actually it might be a colleague, it might be a family member, or your child that actually is having suicidal thoughts? Many times these people make statements, and it might seem like a joke, but actually these statements are very serious. So they might casually say that this might be the last time you're seeing me. I think I'll be better off dead. And people may not struggle much when I leave. So it's important that we actually begin to listen.
What use and purpose am I here for?
Yes, so we need to listen to some of these statements. Sometimes when someone begins to give out their property, to give out their belongings, they begin to say bye. Sometimes they feel worthless. They are more withdrawn, than usual. This could be a telltale sign that actually someone is going through, suicidal thoughts. Someone is having plans to actually kill themselves, so that then we are able to attend and reach out to them. Let us listen to them, be non-judgmental, so that we are able to refer them to the rightful places for assessment and treatment.
I'll come back to you, Susan, especially on what I should do as a colleague, what I should do as a guardian, caretaker, or a parent when I start to identify such traits or characteristics from someone in order to prevent them from ending their lives. I'll come to you that. Moses, I come to you again. And you've heard from Vincent and also Susan, most of the affected and also the victims are in schools, are in our societies, and one wonders what schools or religious institutions or even us in communities can do in supporting mental wellness before crises emerge?
Thank you so very much. Like I said, primary prevention is the best of all. Primary prevention tells us that we are not sick and hence we should not be sick. That's the primary prevention. That all of us should be healthy. We should eat well, should drink water, should take vegetables, we should eat fruits to be healthy. So in other words, the biggest encouragement is primary prevention. At the school level, I sit on different boards of schools and institutions. I sit on a board of Mackay University Business School. In fact, I'm the chairperson of Students Affairs Committee of the Council of MOBS. And I have encouraged many universities and schools to have mental health practitioners. You find a secondary school of over 30,000 students not having a mental health practitioner. For instance, a psychiatric nurse, a psychiatric officer, even a counselor, professional counselor. The school will tell you, teachers study counseling. The counseling teachers study is purely a basic, very, very basic. A professional counselor who studies from Chambers University and any other universities takes about 3 years to do such a course. So you can't undermine them with someone who has gone to study physics and chemistry, and that is a slight part of counseling. So my view is all institutions of higher learning, all secondary schools, primary schools, let's have mental health practitioners. Can have psychiatric nurses, a psychiatric clinical officer. If in university, you can also have a visiting clinical psychologist or a visiting psychiatrist. But it's good to have mental health practitioners. Worst case scenario, a professional counselor. In the MOBS, I am bringing it in a committee very soon. In fact, next week. We have some health workers, but I have been insistent on having psychiatric nurses, and then a visiting psychiatric a visiting psychiatrist or a visiting clinical psychologist. Those are primary preventions. So that because if you went to ADU, Alcohol and Drug Abuse Unit at the hospital, it's full of very many students. These young adults who are in universities, regardless of any university, there are very many at Alcohol and Drug Abuse Unit. All that begins from the school. So it means schools should give priority to mental health by having the staff who are supposed to work on those clients. 2, at family level, where I come from, we should talk about mental health, we should talk about mental illness, we should talk about health. We should try to make students know where we are in terms of economic. Not all of us are supposed to go to King's College Jebudo. Not all of us are supposed to go to Namagunga. But all of us are where we are because of how we have been abroad and how we have got to share information freely. So at the family level, we need to tell the children, what we can manage at the moment. Let them have basic education. The schools even around us, like Rosetta SS, like all in our area, can do some good work. Not all of us can go to those high schools. As long as you're a professional, you're a doctor, you're a teacher, you're a nurse, you're an accountant, you're a lawyer, you're a plumber, you're a caterer. What we need, all of us, is have basic education. We should also tell our children that we try to live within what we can manage.
Within our means.
That today, I am renting a house of 200,000, but I'm working hard to attain a house of either 600,000 or to have my own what? My own house. Most of us in Kampala, we came when we were sleeping in offices, in aunties' homes, in uncles' homes. But we have ended up acquiring our own simple houses. even those who acquire safe houses, it's hard working, saving money, hard working, having many things to do in this business. You are doing this, you end up
Working
acquiring.
hard and hustling.
Yeah, it's basically hustling. So we need to encourage our children at a family perspective that you can all achieve what you want to achieve, but let's take baby steps. So counseling is important to our children at a family perspective. It's important to our husbands, to our wives, that you know what, you have lost a job, but there's a life. There's a life beyond depression. There's a life beyond suicidal
you
thoughts.
talk about preventive approaches that counselors should adopt, but I'm looking at many people or young people who turn to these harmful coping strategies such as substance use. How can they identify them? How can they be helping them? Because in our dormitories, someone will be keeping a substance without knowing, will be keeping a drug. Others have gone to an extra mile. We are packing them in. They are manufacturing these drugs in cookies, in bread, in chocolates, in so very many things. Gone are the days when you would see someone smoking, but this is a different generation that we are living in.
Yes, smoking.
New strategies, new approaches for counselors.
Yes, new strategies. It begins first, if it is in schools' perspectives, it begins with the administrators accepting to have a professional counselor. Like I said, many schools take it as a by the way. They take it as a way of trying to get money, and they claim that teachers have studied counseling. The counseling they study is pure basic. So in other words, any school needs a professional counselor. Any school at least needs a psychiatric nurse. Psychiatric nurse is, we have certificate holder and the diploma holder. You can begin a certificate nurse, and then you grow, and as you see how things are moving. So in other words, primary prevention is key. Then at the government perspective, most VHTs who are trained, they are trained to manage physical illnesses. What do I mean by physical illnesses? Physical, I mean issues like malaria. They are trained to manage TB. They are trained to manage antenatal care, postnatal care, most VHTs. But you don't see government, even here. I was a counselor at KCC LC5. In fact, I was also in the Committee of Public Health. But it's very challenging that we never used to even have any time to teach VHTs about mental health. It's of recent when I convinced my fellow Rotarians and we began training VHTs. We trained them at the hospital. We trained them in Mbuya. We trained the police. We trained the VHTs about how to handle at least having the first aid of handling psychiatric clients if it emerges.
Okay.
So my encouragement to government is to make sure that let VHTs be trained also in mental health, so that they have some basic information about mental health. Not to leave it, because VHTs are where people are, where they are in Mutungo, where they are in Mbuya, where they are in Ruzira, at the best.
Okay.
So in fact, it is people refer to them very fast before they go to health centers.
Interesting. Thank you so very much, Okwera. Our dear listener, you can participate, share your perspective, your thoughts on 776-511-426. The number is 0776-511-426, and tell us what you think can be done to manage drug abuse, but also have a healthy society. Mental health cases are increasing day by day in this country, in this continent, in this world. What do you think are the triggers? What do you think we can do to prevent all this situation? We are in the Suicide Awareness Month, as Susan has educated us. And what do you need to do? Because it would be absurd if we talk about mental health and there is someone who is trying to buy a rope or buy some substance and they want to end their lives today or tomorrow or this week or even this month or next month. What do you think we need to do as a society, as a community, that we can live healthy minds? Because problems and challenges are everywhere, but we overcome day by day. Okwera says that we came to Kampala not well off, but at least 1, 2, 3 we've been able to make life and ends meet. You need to just work hard, hustle like others. One challenge doesn't mean that you end your life. Vincent, I come to you. We talked about copy and paste in schools, but also in your industry. It is a very common practice. You want someone, you want to be a celebrity like so and so, they want to sing like so and so, they want to make a hit, they want to, even going on stage, they have to charge themselves as if they are phones that we put in charge, and then they have to be powered on. And I'm wondering how really you as a community of film and also entertainment industry, you are addressing these cases to make sure that our communities are really empowered, are informed, are aware. For us in the media, doing our part on radio, you've seen UBC, now we are having this conversation on TVs and any platforms, but also you who are in this entertainment industry, what are you bringing on board to make sure that our communities, especially the young generation, are perhaps aware? By the time someone opts for a substance, they should be aware of the side effects, but also how it will end.
Thank you so much. As Moses said, and so there is something Susan mentioned, that we have 50 to 54 psychiatrists, but we are a population of close to, I think, 45 or 42, meaning that almost 1 million people go to one psychiatrist. But then that shows you the gap. But what we are trying to do is normalize the conversation of mental illness, that we are trying so hard to put out messages that people understand that the bias around mental illness, it is, I would use the famous word, it is fake news. Mental illness culture, people have made it a culture thing that the moment someone says a word like mental illness, you're either being bewitched, you're weak. So we are trying to make sure that we normalize the conversation around mental illness. And by normalizing conversation, we mean that people to know that it is okay not to be okay. It is okay for you to wake up feeling not okay to go to work. But again, that comes to the people who employ us. For example, in the industry, for example, if someone paid you to perform, and for example, you lost someone in the night, for them they will expect you to come and perform because they paid you to do that job. Now, for you to go be able to deliver, you look for a coat to put on, and that's why people slip into drug and substance abuse. But the thing is, we are trying to build a collective effort to understand the issue that, okay, if someone says I'm not okay, I can't perform, is there a way we can reschedule? Let us get used to rescheduling things for the better of our mental well-being. So we are trying to normalize the conversation, but also we are now putting out content that is encouraging, because you see, our minds interpret a lot of things. Today we are in an era of social media where content plays a big role in our mental well-being. For example, we all started a music career at the same time. We all post the shows we've done. But for me, my shows, I have 5 to 2 people. So then the more I keep seeing this, the pressures are growing to me. So we ask that question: if you feel that social media is not actually good for your mental well-being, can you get social media handlers to help you handle your platforms, so that for you try to avoid that trigger? Because now social media is a trigger for you to be a victim. But again, as we navigate these waters of mental illness as a community and as the industry we love so much, we are also calling on government and UCC. It is important also for them to look at the content that is circulating all the time, because you know content can trigger you. Like there are things you look at and you're like, you feel depressed there and then. So all of the UCC, government, and us content creators, we need to play our part. So for us as the industry, we are trying to make sure we normalize the conversation on mental illness by putting out content that is educative, that is informative. People we have to myth that for you as a man to go and seek for help, actually you're not weak. You are a strong man because you've accepted that you need help. But also people to understand that how we look like when we meet people in communities, you feel pain. They slip into that drug not because they want to, but because they think it will help them cope, you know. So we are telling people that using drugs, it's not a method for you to cope with mental illness. It is not. Actually, it is a danger.
It is a danger, and all of us are concerned about that, and we want really to help people outside there to make sure that you live healthy lives. Women, men, young and old, we must really enjoy this country we call home, regardless of what we're going through. And now I come to you before I take a break and also getting feedback from our dear listeners. Susan, save a life. My colleague, my son, my daughter, my nephew, my cousin, my uncle, whoever is around me, and they start to utter some statements that I think are not in line with what I do expect from them. I am tired of here. I think I am better when I'm in another world. I think I don't belong here. What should we do to make sure that those people or someone like that doesn't end their lives in just seconds, but we save them?
Okay, thank you so much. In a situation where one has uttered statements of death, it's important that we give them immediate attention because that is an emergency, and actually this person is at risk.
Do we need to call police?
Of danger. So we don't need to call police at that moment, no. But we need to look at who are the close family members, the trusted members that this person can actually be able to talk to and open up to. So we need to look out for those. If you find a person, and please, it's important that don't leave them by themselves. Ensure that you stay by them until you found a family member or a close friend who can come in to talk to them, share, and this case should be referred immediately to the health centers for further assessment and also management and care. So in mental health, when we encounter cases of suicide, those are clinical emergencies, and this person has to immediately be cared for and not left alone, because there's a risk that they will actually go on to attempt and even commit the suicide. At the community level, we need to break the stigma. Oftentimes, people talk about cultural notations, you know, and usually bagamba nti mu Luganda empewo z'ekika zimulinnye. Probably there are people within the families that have also had a similar issue or a similar circumstance. It's important to know that this person is mentally ill, they are not well, they are going through depression, they are overwhelmed and need support. So as a community, we need to work together. As at the family level, let's work together to ensure that these people are well supported, they are not left alone, and they are able to be referred to the rightful places so that they can be assessed, but also they can be able to receive care. And there is hope that people who have actually been referred can actually be able to gain hope in life. They can be able to learn new coping skills, and ultimately they can still be able to thrive better in life. So we request you that even as we have this Suicide Awareness Month, let us reach out, look out for some of those red flags. It could be your child, it could be a colleague at work, it could be someone you work with, or maybe a partner, and you're noticing that probably they are giving these suicide statements. Sometimes their habits have changed. Vincent talked a lot about alcohol and substance abuse and how some people actually begin to take alcohol. This is one of the red flags or one of the risk factors, because oftentimes there is a trigger that is actually pushing people to take these drugs. It is not something that people begin to do because they want it, but many times it is a coping mechanism that people usually use to hide so many issues that they are grappling with. We find in adolescents, some of them have gone through abuse, but also some of them have gone through child neglect, where they are left at home with no boundaries. They are left at home without anyone to take care of them, anyone to attend to some of the needs they need. And so many of our adolescents actually begin to have a risk of peer pressure, and ultimately at the end of the day they begin to go into substance abuse, and which might turn into an addiction. So as a community, it's important to have empathy and know that if one has a mental illness, they are actually struggling. And when we talk about mental illness, it begins with me, it begins with you. And then we are able to cascade it down to even the rest of the people. So it is okay not to be okay. If one is going through suicidal ideation and they are struggling in life, they are having depression and anxiety, please let us not judge them. Let us be compassionate towards them, and let's support them. Utilize the resources within the community. Who are the friends? Who are the families? But what is the nearby health center? So that these people can actually be supported and can receive the care they deserve.
Interesting. That brings us to the end of our first part of this program, and we're taking a very short break. When I return, I'll be reading out your comments, and also my guests in the studios will be in position to address all these concerns. But as well, you can call on 776-511-426, 0776-511-426. After this short break, I'm coming back in just a bit. Keep it UBC Ground Zero.
This is Ground Zero Season 2. Stay tuned. We shall be right back.
Darling, the minimum standard which is expected of a public officer or a leader. This is nothing to deal with declarations. It's how you behave, how you conduct yourself in office and outside office.
I'm a chief.
Yes.
If my children are not disciplined, then I can't discipline other people, because my children will be the role model of the community.
Because here the whole hullabaloo is caused by the introduction of the new lower secondary school curriculum, which is calling for research.
The Link on UBC Radio, connecting you to the world of information.
Did you know that living healthy is the cheapest way to manage your life? A variety of research shows that a healthy lifestyle is the best medicine to live longer and stay away from diseases. Exercise is very important to our health. If you include exercise in your daily lifestyle, it improves your eyesight, normalizes your blood pressure, improves lean muscle mass, lowers cholesterol, and improves bone density. You can jog, skip a rope, or do some other activity that will keep your body agile. Research further recommends eating the right food. Try to eat a variety of vegetables daily. You can eat them in any way, either raw or boiled or lightly fried. Consuming high amount of vegetables reduces high risk of cancer in the lungs, colon, breast, cervix, stomach, bladder, pancreas, and ovaries. You can also lose weight by consuming a variety of vegetables, and it will also satisfy your hunger. It is also important to note that drinking enough water or staying hydrated is paramount to good health. Water helps in flushing out dirt, improving your digestion, activates the muscles, and regulates the body temperature. Keep drinking at least 3 liters of water a day for a healthy body. Remember, health is wealth. My name is Sentamo Rebecca.
At UBC Radio, all our radio network across the country is committed to inform, entertain, educate and guide for national transformation.
Our own radio, UBC, should set its own example. Leka bano abatafa ku bantu baffe bagumaza ndowooza muganda kito okugumaza to divert people. Let our own UBC bring programs to educate the people so that abagala kugumaza babeereyo bagumaza naye naffe they can advise, guide. And people in time will judge the one who is their friend and who is just using them.
Tune into UBC Radios for credible socio-economic programs. UBC, inspiring Uganda.
The link, the minimum standard which is expected of a public officer or a leader. This is nothing to deal with declarations. It's how you behave, how you conduct yourself in office and outside office.
The link.
I'm a chief.
Yes.
If my children are not disciplined, then I can't discipline other people because my children will be the role model of the community.
The link.
Because here the whole hullabaloo is caused by the introduction of the new lower secondary school curriculum, which is calling for research.
The link on UBC Radio, connecting you to the world of information.
Quotes, sayings, and proverbs about education have never gone wrong. In all circumstances, education plays a pivotal role in transforming individuals, the community, nation, and the world. These are some of the quotes by famous and celebrated people. Nelson Mandela said, "Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world." Malcolm X quoted that, "Education is the passport to the future, for tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today." A quote by Kofi Annan says, "Knowledge is power, information is liberating. Education is the premise of progress in every society, in every family." Aristotle also commented on education that the roots of education are bitter, but the fruit is sweet. Martin Luther King equally saw the power in education. He said, "The function of education is to teach one to think intensively and think critically. Intelligence plus character, that is the goal of true education." This is why, world over, education is at the foundation of development, growth, progress, and transformation. At UBC Radio, we educate, inform, and inspire Uganda. My name is Sentamo Rebecca.
Welcome back. Ground Zero Season 2 continues.
Welcome back from that very short break. Ampaire Amon Butega is my name, and this is UBC Ground Zero. We are live on 5 radio stations that cover this program: UBC Butebo in Eastern Uganda, UBC Radio in Kampala, UBC Butebo, UBC Western Nile in the heart of Arua City, your Voice of Bondobujo, and also Magic 100 FM. We are streaming live on YouTube. You just put UBC Ground Zero and you'll be part of the conversation. And we're talking about dealing with the challenge of increased mental health cases in Uganda. In the studios of UBC, I have Okwera Moses Mugisha, Director Okwera Foundation. Susan Winfred Adikini is the clinical psychologist coming from Strong Minds Uganda, and Vincent Chaginze is the Director Human Rights Arts Festival. And also we have you, our dear listener, who is part of the program. You can share your thoughts on 0776 511 call, and we shall be able to pick you and you raise your concerns. I have some messages coming in from our dear listeners, and also they would love these concerns to be addressed. Someone says parents neglect and mistreat their children, and they end up in depression and also stress. And what happens when they land on some bad elements in society who can tell them that they are not loved, they are not cared for? They end up taking these drugs as a solution to calm themselves down, and that's how they end up being bad elements in our communities. But the problem is created by the parents themselves, ourselves. Okay, we encourage you always put your name and where you're listening in from. I am Masetula from Chebando. Thanks, Amon, for the program. A very interesting topic there. I was raped by my own uncle when I was still young, and that affected me for years. To have it off my head, I started taking drugs to calm my mind down, and that's how I became an addict. Okay. I am Joseph. I'm listening in from Entebbe. How can I know that cookies and bread that I'm buying have got drugs components? I don't want to be a drug addict unintentionally. Okay, the people of Entebbe there. Thank you for the program. I am listening in from Buyende. Moses talks about schools having counselors, but I think you're talking about schools in towns. Here in the village, in the villages, you find teachers, 2 teachers attending to 3-4 classes. If the schools can't afford teachers, will they afford counselors? Okay, someone in weekend there. Thank you for the program. I am. The arts industry and entertainment in general are dying from this very serious, and if you want very most stressed and depressed, they are our own celebrities. We see them on camera, but they are dying in silence and in their own houses. I wish Vincent can tell us what documentaries can we all watch if they have that. If the documentaries can we watch to be educated on this, if they have any? It will help many, especially the young generations, to know what to do. Thank you for the program. Many parents are taking their children in church to be prayed for, yet they don't know that they need psychiatrists. Prayer alone may not work. You need to take children to professional counselors and psychologists. Other children need therapy, not just prayer. Parents, I know you're believers, but also believing with action also helps our children. Mental issues, mental health care, mental issues and health care in this country is needed. Okay. Strong men need to come to the ground and don't just be in towns. There are people who are suffering on the ground in the villages, in divisions, and they need really to deploy so very many that you may reach to the communities. Okay, those are some of the comments. If you have any to address to them, Susan, Vincent, and Okwera, in that direction.
Thank you so much, and we are glad to hear from our listeners. Thank you so much for the comments. I'll start off with the issue about the parents being the problem. And I would love to agree that actually mental health begins at home, and it begins from the familiar level. And parents play a very vital role in influencing the emotional and mental state of their children. So even from childhood, as they progress to adolescence, would want to encourage parents that what kind of parent are you to the child, and what parenting style are you utilizing to actually ensure that you're not harming, however you are protecting but also teaching your child in the right way that they should go, so that they are not actually mentally affected, but they are able to thrive, they are able to learn, they are able to develop resilience through life, and they are able to have the strategies but also the stamina to handle when life issues come up. We know that in life, problems will always come in. There will always be circumstances that come in that are very tough at one point or another. But what resilience do our children have to ensure that they are actually handling these issues? So how do the parents handle the children? Are we using a style where children cannot come in and share with you? Are we using an authoritative style where children do not have a right to actually speak up when they are hurt? And many times we find that if we're using that kind of authoritarian style, the children may not come up to open up. But also on the other hand, are we setting routines for the children in that these children are able to to thrive within the family level? So many times we find that parents are very busy doing work, but at the end of the day, the children are neglected. So you'll find that if children are left alone and you've not known how are the children feeling, whom did they talk to, what did they watch on TV, which people did they interact with, at the end of the day, we find that children will find other spaces where they can get comfort, where they can get advice, and at the end of the day, that might also be a risk factor for actually children to have mental health issues, but also go into issues of drug abuse. I would love to share more with one of our listeners who shared her experience about a circumstance you went through with your uncle. We can imagine how tough that should be for you. And indeed, so many of our children who are going through abuse are actually at risk of having mental health issues. So it's important for us to be able to detect very early in the schools, but also within the family. As a parent, are you noticing some symptoms within your child? Probably your child is more withdrawn. Probably they are irritable. They are all to themselves. And these days we have a new phenomena of smartphones, where you find that your child is closed in their room and they are with their smartphone. They are not really monitored, and so many hours have taken on, and this child is with their smartphone. So could we pick interest to detect some of these symptoms? Sometimes our children disappear, and you do not know where this child has actually disappeared into. After some hours, you'll find this child returns, but you do not know where they disappeared to. So can we be able to tell some of these symptoms and be able to have a candid chat with a child? We know that many times we may not be able to deal with these challenges as the parents, but let's utilize the community structures. In Strong Minds, we've been able to spread our reach, and we're ensuring that we are democratizing the mental health support. We are within the communities of Kampala, Wakiso. We are within the communities of, in Wakiso, we are in Masulita areas, we are in Kachiri. We've reached most of the sub-counties, and in there are our village, the village health teams, community health workers, and as well as teachers within the schools who are supporting. We also have in other districts in Mukono, in Gulu, Kotido, Mbale, Iganga, Mayuge, Bararan, Tungamo, and we are doing our best to ensure that we spread out our reach. So please ensure that reach out to your next VHT for support. And if you're not supported, you can as well reach out to us. I'll be able to share a contact even as we end.
Interesting. You're live on radio? UBC radios. Hello?
Yes, please. Good morning, Amon.
A very good morning to you.
Yeah, you're live from the best roundabout Buteega here.
Thank you.
Yeah, my name is Juma. Sometime, Amon, you wake up in the morning, you say your prayer. After prayer, you can ask yourself, Allah, who has bewitched this nation, Africa, this continent? It's like almost 3% of the normal eat and drinks we take. At least there is a drug inside. We do have UNBS, Uganda Bureau of Statistics, something like that.
Bureau of Standards.
Yes. Who check everything in the market for human consumption. But in a long run, you find that there are some of their logos are being attached to a harmful drink to eat, which is questionable as far as Ministry of Health is concerned. Then when you come down, this other marijuana, lack of sensitization about marijuana and of using it. You'll find some veterinary doctors will encourage you to plant one or two for certain specific purpose. For example, you are a farmer. They encourage you to plant tobacco. This is local tobacco. Because local tobacco, it is like a medicine for chasing wild animals like snakes. Where you have planted the tobacco around the poultry room, it is hard for those mammals to penetrate and come and cause injury to your chickens. And again, you'll find the community will start abusing how to use it. Marijuana, when you take it where it gives you medicine, when you combine it complementary with other things, will give you a medicine over what. So we need to be properly sensitized by the professional. Not this issue of today, TikTok, someone is trying to do some experiment rapidly and ending up by wishing everyone to go and try. There we are not going to develop.
Okay.
Cross a normal line. Someone wake up in the morning knowing that I will go to the road, I will just sit and put my hand, I will beg until I will get money for supper. Even that mindset, it works to some people. You may think people are very, very... So, who is that responsible person who come and sensitize the public? And now today, UBC is doing it, giving us professionals to talk to us. So, let us try to help one another. So, this is just a collective effort by the community.
Okay.
Stakeholders like the NGOs, the government, the cultural leaders, religious leaders, just by combined hands. Because now when you're over questioning parents, these children, they are over moving. Now they are at school, they're engaging with their own friends there, they are picking something from nowhere, they are coming to illustrate from home. A parent will have no idea because some of the level where our children have reached, even beyond our level. I thank you so much.
Thank you, Juma,
Welcome.
for sharing your thoughts on UBC Ground Zero today. Let me go to the studios and for Vincent and also Kwera to also address some of these concerns. But also I've had concerns that someone says that parents also have, Juma says they shouldn't so much blame the parents. But in one way or the other, parents, especially the well of families, where they tend to pamper so very many things and favor their children, your child, you don't want even the maid to discipline your child, you don't want anyone to talk to your child, you don't want your child to even have seconds of crying. We are giving them tablets, we're giving them everything at their disposal. We want them to live that soft life, and also life in future is awaiting them, and we don't know what kind of people they will interact with, the kind of life they will live, and when they reach there, and life treats them different from what they had when they were children, they tend to be stressed, depressed, and that's why someone says that that's why most of the Gen Zs are in depression, something we never had in some years back. Vincent and then Aquera.
To the listeners, it's really interesting conversation about mental illness, but in today, in the era we are in, the era of technology, it's true, like the caller said, children nowadays they are moving a bit faster than the parents, but also the parents need to catch up with the pace. But in this discussion, we talked about pressures. You see, now also parents are under pressure to buy smartphones for their child. They think if my child doesn't have a smartphone, I'm not being a good parent. But again, there are measures how we can control what these kids can actually access on these phones. You don't need to have their phone. You can control their phone on your phone. Just put in your Google, make sure the email that opens the phone, it's your email as a parent. Set all these perimeters that you want the kid to be on the phone for 5 minutes, then the phone will just lock itself. They can't do anything. So I think also we can't do away with technology. We just need to embrace technology, and we see how we manage with that.
Recently, I've also heard and seen some kids who they know how to operate these gadgets more than the parents. You have issues with your phone, and it is the kid that is helping you to set those settings. The generation that we are dealing with these days is not an easy one, I must say.
Yeah, and I agree. That's what I'm saying, that also
maybe
as
for the young children.
No, also as we parents, you see, because when God gives you a gift to be a parent, we believers, we believe that when you're a parent to a child, you're almost their God. So we need to take an extra effort to see how we protect these children. We cannot allow the children to determine for us what the things we can do. But because of the pressure that is coming along with how society perceives a good parent or a bad parent, because now every parent thinks if they don't buy a smartphone for their children, they're not doing their job. But why should you buy a smartphone for your child when you can't barely really understand the basic of the phone? Okay, if for you can't, get a friend, consult, because there are things, why I said that there are things we can do to control what our children access. If my children can't access my email, then I can be able to control their phone. But like you said, if it's your children who are running the business, then you have no control. Then back to parenting, the original parenting, whereby when your father says no, no is no. But we are now in an era of whereby a father says no, and then the whole house will say, Daddy, you're a bad guy. So because also the father now wants to be a good guy to all people around, he will say, okay, you can do that. So parenting is difficult, and it's going to be difficult. We need to accept, but we should not give up our role, because if we do, our children are going to lock themselves into their bedrooms. By the time they get out of those bedrooms, we will barely understand them. Another caller talked about the artists. They are depressed. It is true, artists are depressed because they work hand to mouth. If they don't work, they don't earn. But again, there is a societal perception of how they should live. They should drive a Range Rover. They should stay in a suburban area. So all those pressures come back to them, and then they end up using drugs. So what we are doing for them is that we are creating avenues to normalize the conversation. We are using art as therapy. We are telling them, it's okay even if you use a border, it's okay even if you walk on foot. You meet them downtown covering their head in the very hot sunshine because they don't want people to see them,
putting on jackets and heavy sweaters.
Yes. So one of the most important things we are doing is let us normalize to be normal. If you don't have, accept that you don't have. Moses just said that people came when sleeping in offices. Today they're okay because they normalize that at this point I don't have, but this is not the end of the world. Let me work hard to achieve that. So we are doing that for the artists. For the documentaries, you can look. We produced Silent Disease. It's on YouTube. It's a good piece. But also we are continuing to do more work around showcasing the problem, because the thing is, the topic of mental illness, we need to take it down to people so that they understand that it's not an academic thing. Because when people listen to it and when people discuss it, because of the language and the terms, people think, no, this is not maybe something. But it's an illness like malaria, it's an illness like HIV. The moment people understand those basics, and also like Susan said, please don't think that you've been bewitched for not feeling okay. Yeah, we just wake up when you don't feel okay. When the brain really is tired, there is help. Try to seek for help as much as possible, because at the end of the day, we all have one life. So you either take care of that life you have, or you decide to say, no, how will people look at me? But also a lot of people are doing a lot of work to make sure that how do you be okay when you're not okay, because sometimes it's easier said than done. It's very easy to say, to tell an artist, it's okay not to sit on a border, but it is difficult for them to do that. And also because of that pressure, sometimes it's like, I always use a simple term, when someone loses a loved one, we all go and say, oh, sorry, but because you really don't know the feeling, and it's not about the feeling, but because what comes with a feeling, it's what the person who has gone has been doing to these people all along. So that's what happens to the artists. You want them to sit on a border, but then they're like, do you really understand that?
Okay. Moses?
Thank you so much, Amon. We appreciate Vincent and Madame Adikini for doing justice. I love to appreciate the callers that have taken it to use the airtime and time to share some of their insights. It's very unfortunate that this lady was raped. Very unfortunate indeed. Such a person is, you need always to go for counseling. Going for counseling, like mentioned by some people here, is not a sign of weakness, but all of us need help here and there. Hospitals are there, health centers are there. Even the villages that are there, they can still help out. There are nurses, there are doctors, there are clinical officers. When you get some of the challenges, go and seek professional help. About cookies, gentlemen from Entebbe, yes, it's good now these days to check almost all things. Especially those kind of items don't always pass through right channels. Like sometimes they're not even in supermarkets or even shops. Some are always brought in schools clandestinely. That's why some schools no longer accept food from outside. Some schools now are very, very strict. You come to visit the children, they don't allow even home cooked food. They tell you the food at home is good enough. Because I've seen some students being poisoned. So let us try to accept what schools tell us, because how handling students has become difficult, as you get along. So this food that is brought through clandestine ways, it's always good to be checked. And even schools need to check these bites when students are beginning schools. It's very, very important to check everything. Don't check in haphazard way. Teachers or administrators need to check thoroughly well, because there are very, very many people with different motives when they are handling these students. Yes, some are also from Buyende, so that we don't have teachers, how can we have counselors? What I'm only saying is professional counselors is a basic we should have for them, because they are trained to do thorough work. Let's not take that profession for granted, that everybody can counsel. Yes, there is basic counseling, but there's a professional one, which we need to put into action and utilize. We need to have professionals, even in workplaces. There are some workplaces that have so many workers. This meeting of deadlines, many issues at workplaces that need to be attended to. You find that the workplace has over about 600 people, 200 people, but they don't have even a professional person. Once in a while, it's good to meet some of these professional people to talk to you. Even having a resident or a professional person can be the best. Yes, prayers are okay. Prayers are really good because they help us so much. God helps us a lot. But equally still, professionals need to handle their own issues so that we can remain firm and feel encouraged and okay, so that we don't hide under prayers. All in all, what we're saying, let different professionals handle their duties, and at family level, let us all encourage each other always to be better. And we're talking about coping mechanisms. Let's learn to accept that I can't handle something at this time. I can handle it at a particular time. But I have failed maths today, tomorrow I can pass it. I have failed physics, it's not a do or die. I have failed, you can still wake up and shine again. So you don't feel to be overwhelmed. You're not the first person always to fail deadlines, or to fail in business, or to fail in politics, or to fail in everything. Failure is part of life. You can still move on. Yes, basically, for good mental health, yes, we need to have some time of rest. We need to eat well, and eating well doesn't mean eating on chips and chicken. It means having food that is within your means to buy, and then talking to a neighbor. Open up to a friend, open up to a colleague, open up to a wife, open up to a husband, to a children, and so that you make life become a little more simpler than making it become so difficult. This world is more complicated enough. Don't complicate it further. Thank you so much, Amon.
Susan talked about culture and also beliefs, as people tend to go into depression and other get into really extreme. And what society thinks, those are our cultural things. We need to talk to the judges. I think your parents are not happy with you. We need to visit the our singers and our aunties in the villages. How do we put a distinction to say, now parents, it is high time, now the time that for the few minutes that I have now, I would love us to talk to the ear of that parent, talk to the community, and what do you advise? What is the way forward? Still, I would talk to them, especially about balancing cultural issues and real health issues. And then I would also want to, Susan, you talk to the policymakers, really what you really advise policymakers, what should be prioritized in this country to expand mental health support nationwide. And also Vincent, you will tell us what we need in the future for mental health care in Uganda, and the role that organizations need to play, because we don't believe that government can do this alone. Your way forward, Okwera.
Thank you so very much, Amon, and members who are listening to us. Yes, what Amon is saying, let's try not to make life become complicated. Cultures these days are different. There is a culture where you come from. There is also create culture. Some people create cultures. Yes, cultures are different. There is a work culture. There is a home culture. There is a school culture. There is a of Amanachori, this, Uganda. We can't learn from such. What you need to do, visiting an auntie is not bad. You can visit her parents, you can visit an auntie once in a while. It's not bad. They can also come at home. It's okay. So let's not try to create cultures that are beyond what you can contain. Let's not try to create pseudo cultures which we can't contain, which can't match. What I'm trying to say is that let's try to make sure
a child is going into depression, is in substance abuse, and you say, he's been bewitched. I think this is
within a culture
I need to go to the
that I can't go to school without a Range Rover, that I can't go in that pickup, I can't go in that, I need the other car. Those kind of pseudo cultures, they can't help us. So let's try to do things within what we can manage. Let's try to make to be simple. To be simple, humility is strength. This complicating things, yet the world is complicated enough, won't help us. Let's try, whenever there are issues, let's seek guidance, let's seek intervention at the earliest. Because the depression is so bad, because it always erupts into societal tendencies. Depression is a very major mental illness, which needs quick attention. If you don't do quick attention to it, depression can do what? It's a major mental illness. It can really find you in a bad situation. Even illnesses like anxiety, like stress, if not well managed, they can develop into a major mental illness. So whenever there is something that is detected which is not good enough, let us seek professional help. You can be helped by parents, can be helped by brothers, can be helped by but all let up. And the worst part of stigma is the internal. We have stigma which is internal, which is from within and outside. Now, the external one sometimes is easier because you can do away with it, but the internal can be worse because you feel worthless. So let's try to open up whenever there's a challenge, so that you can work together as a team, can work together as a neighbors.
Interesting, Vincent.
Yes, thank you, Amon. For me, I think as organizations, we need to help government, and we are also government ourselves because we are part of government. When people say government and then we put ourselves on the side, then I fail to understand. But we as the people of this country and organizations, we need to normalize this conversation in the best way possible for the communities to understand what we are talking about. When we make people understand exactly what we mean in the languages they understand, then we'll be doing something and we'll achieve the goals we want to achieve. We need to make the conversation of mental illness less academic, but less community based to the people. So I want people to embrace initiatives that are working around to see how we help ourselves, because like Moses mentioned when we were starting, that headline in the vision, everyone laughed at it because they thought mental illness it's about people being mad, that was the basic interpretation. Yeah. and to a extent, what we are going through, we are all candidates of that, so we need to help each other and to come and learn firsthand. In October, we're organizing something, the Human Rights Universal Arts Festival, whereby even I'm inviting my friends here from Strong Minds and to come and exhibit to people, show them what they are doing, so that people get access to them. People learn what you're doing, show them, so that we basically take on this fight. So from the 9th to 12th We shall be at Jensen Art Space. Come and see the initiatives organizations are doing, but also come and listen to the content we are talking about. When we talk about content that educates and informs, content that is not vulgarized, people seem not to get the concept, but we invite you all to come at Jensen Art Space in Bukoto. The event will be free, to listen to that content and also engage with different organizations that will be exhibiting what they are doing. Together, I believe we can take on this fight. But my last call to all organizations that are doing work, let our work be people-centered, not donor-centered.
Okay.
Yes.
I'll give you also some minutes for your concluding remarks. Here we wanted way forward, really solutions. Your advice to policymakers, Susan? What do we need to prioritize really to expand mental health support, especially not just in Kampala, but the whole of Uganda?
Thank you so much, Amon. I'll reflect back first from what Vincent shared. The need for us to decriminalize or to destigmatize and break the stigma within the communities is very key. And there are a number of terms that have been utilized to when someone is mentally ill, like mad, atabuse, But we need to change even the language. This person is mentally ill. They are not mad, but they are mentally ill. Omuntu ono tatabuse, naye wabula omuntu ono mulwadde. Alina obulwadde obw'obwongo era yeetaaga bujjanjabi. And so it all begins from how do we utilize this language? So when we go back to the issue of policy, we would request that government needs to integrate mental health into its systems. When we talk about the Ministry of Health, the health systems, how has government been able to integrate mental health into primary health care? That even as they are dealing with malaria, even as they diagnose the other illnesses, HIV, can they be able to also include mental health and be able to activate the mental health clinics at the facility level? Are there particular health workers that have been identified and equipped and trained to be able to handle mental health cases and also be able to create more skill or develop their skills in diagnosing mental health issues, but also being able to be more sensitive to the people who come with mental health problems within the facilities, and then how have they been cared for? And when we talk about the education systems, how has the education system been able to prioritize mental health? We've moved a journey, and I would love to thank the systems we are working with, Ministry of Health, Ministry of Education. We've been able to advocate for integration into the systems, and a circular was passed in which every school is supposed to have 1 hour of mental health within the schools, and that was a circular that was passed for all schools across Uganda. So we request that schools, the head teachers of schools, be able to adhere to this policy. Can we be able to provide holistic learning even within the schools, that even as the children learn about science, biology, all the other subjects, can they also be able to learn about mental health? Can we be able to integrate this into the curriculum so that even as children learn, they are able to learn very well, they're able to concentrate? A mentally ill child may not be able to concentrate in the schools, and ultimately that will impact on the academic performance. When it comes to the different ministries of internal affairs, Ministry of Gender, it is a call that we are able to integrate mental health within all the systems. And also when it comes to budget allocation, only 1% of the budget is allocated to mental health, which is not sufficient, and which places a toll on the system when it comes to giving care for people who are mentally ill. So I request that as we move on, we need to take on a multidisciplinary approach where yes, the parents need to work at the family level, but also when it comes to the different government systems, we need to work together to ensure that we are dealing with this mental health issue. We are ensuring early detection, ensuring early assessment, care, but also ensuring that we are spreading awareness and also engaging in different prevention mechanisms.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
I would request your parting shots and also concluding remarks, Susan, Vincent, and Okwera. But before we go into your conclusions, I've realized something in our communities. I've had some families, and also I had a story on social media where someone had a child, I think was depressed or was on drugs, and because they are big people in community and they are in their community, instead of keeping this child, they decided to take this child to abroad, of course, to protect their image, to protect their reputation in society. And guess what? When she reached there, instead of improving, she went on taking drugs, and before they knew, she was on streets, and a few months later she died of overdose. And also people sending children when they are at the extreme to certain communities, for those who can afford, they send them to other countries. But also I've realized that there is other group of people, of Ugandans, who are depressed from abroad, and they come home. When they come home, they are not attended to, and they also end up being into depression, and they end up dying. So and so came from abroad, but the way I've been seeing him or her, it seems not right. And before you know, we're in their burial giving all speeches, but when we didn't act. Your parting shots, and we end our conversation. Susan, Vincent, Okwera.
Thank you, Amon. Thank you, our dear listeners, for listening in. And would love to tell you that mental health is an illness. Mental depression, anxiety, as well as suicide are actually a telltale sign that you're struggling and you need support. Please reach out, share, reach out to a close friend, break the silence, and you will receive the necessary support. It's okay to not to be okay. And you can as well reach out to us at Strong Minds on 0202 409 700. 0202 409 700. Thank you so much.
Vincent.
Thank you so much, and the management of UBC for having us here today. One of the things I would like to call on the private sector to invest in rehabilitation institutions so that they can also aid government efforts. But also I want to invite everyone to the Human Rights and Universal Arts Festival. It's happening on the 9th to 12th of October at Zenson Art Space. NGOs, individuals, people are going to exhibit their information they are doing, but also come and enjoy performances from 35 artists, poets, and an exhibition. So why we are doing this is to see how do we normalize conversations around human rights, how do we be accountable. So that's my call always. We need to be accountable, but let's also continue raising awareness on issues that affect us as the people, as a country. Because at the end of the day, when the public is not informed, we will be doing nothing. So let's let the public get informed. I invite you all, 9th October. The event is free, no paying. Come and learn more about interesting things and human rights in general.
Okwera.
Thank you so much, Amon, and thank you so much, my colleagues, Adekina and Vincent. It has been so nice having this discussion. Yes, there's no health without mental health. Let's continue to handle issues very well. My call to government is to increase bed capacity, especially those who are referrals, especially regional referral hospitals. You find that the hospital like Sorot has about 34 bed capacity of mental health clients, yet it is regional. Regional meaning it has the entire Teso sub-region. So it's good to build more wards and so that we can have more bed capacity. But of course, hospital has land. We need to have more wards and more bed capacities so that we can handle clients that are becoming overwhelming. Yes, Rotary Club of Morningtide and DFCU, we are having a medical camp very soon in Mbuya on 8th October. And we shall also invite some of you to come and join us, like strong minds and neighbors here. We shall write to you to come and join us. We shall have both physical and even mental related handling of those clients. So we are calling upon to come. We shall have very many specialists, doctors, nurses, lab, very many organizations to come and help us on these clients. We are targeting about 3,000 clients so they can come and partake on this. Yes, I'm calling upon also members of parliament, councillors in different districts, local councils, so they can take mental health issues as a very, very big priority because it's affecting us. And also organizations, even like UBC, it's good to have a professional counselor here at the workplace to help out here and there. Can be psychologist, can be visiting psychiatrist, but you need to have some at this kind of organization, at organization level. Let's keep on having people to talk to give us guidance as we get along, so that stigma can be fought both internally and externally. I remember Moses Mugisha Okwera, Director of Okwera Community Foundation. Our office is still near Country Gardens. We are into public health, mental health, scholarships and bursaries. We need our students, we need our children to study. Because without education, like you quoted there, without education, we are nowhere to go. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for inviting us here.
And that brings us to the end of our conversation on UBC Ground Zero on 5 radio stations that cover this program. UBC Butebo in Eastern Uganda, Magic 100 FM in Kampala, UBC Radio in Kampala, Western Nile Radio in Arua, Voice of Bundubujo, and we stream live on YouTube. Just put UBC Ground Zero and you always be part of the conversation, but you're always welcome to share your views and thoughts on our platforms, and that we can be able to address all of them, and all the guests that we always have in the studios, they will always address those concerns. Okwera Moses Mugisha, thank you for making time to come through. Susan Winfred Dikini, thank you for making time to come through. And Vincent Chabinze, it was a privilege having you, a gentleman and a lady, joining us this morning. And I want to believe that many people have picked a leaf from our discussion, and many have been educated, informed, and those others that have been really inspired. It is good. It is better to learn every day and unlearn, but also we have learned that it is okay not to be okay. Today may not be like yesterday and may not be like tomorrow. Have hopes that tomorrow will be okay. And also it is the right time that all of us join our hands and fight this vice called mental health challenge, and also drugs that trigger to have these mental issues. And also a call to all of us, policy makers, community leaders, parents, school administration, cultural leaders, and also religious institutions. This is the right time that we come together and fight this vice. This is UBC Ground Zero. Every Saturday we are always here from 10 to midday, and the repeat of this program is always on Sunday from 3 to 5 p.m. on UBC Radio 98.3 FM and on Voice of Bundubujo. Till next time, same station, from me and the team, may you be blessed. For God and my country, and by the Amon of Buteega, allow me to sign out.
That was Ground Zero Season 2, a production of Uganda Broadcasting Corporation, UBC, inspiring Uganda.
At UBC Radio, all our radio network across the country is committed to inform, entertain, educate, and guide for national transformation.
On radio, UBC should set its own example. Leka bano abatafa ku bantu baffe bagumaza ndowooza muganda kito kugumaza to divert people. Let our own UBC bring programs to educate the people so that abagala kugumaza babeereyo bagumaza naye naffe they can advise, guide. And people in time will judge the one who is their friend and who is just using them.
Tune into UBC radios for credible socio-economic programs. UBC, inspiring Uganda.
This is The Link, bringing you information on important topics that affect your daily life. Only on UBC Radio.
Can do something today that can change tomorrow. It doesn't matter how you were born. That was yesterday. It doesn't matter what happened last 5 years, the last 10 years. You may not be able to change that, but you can reposition yourself today. You can make new decisions today that will change what tomorrow will bring. Invest in your future. Refuse to be a mental hobo. Refuse to end your life on the sidewalk. Every time I tell you something, I tell